Hello YouTube. For your reviewing pleasure today, I have a 1979 release of a Douglas C-47 Skytrain. This is a kit made by Testors Italerei. Now notice with this release, the Italerei logo does have the shortened name. Around this time was when they removed the additional E after the R. So, kind of an interesting bit. The box that I actually got was an extremely nice representation of this kit. It's practically new old stock from a collector that had sold his entire collection to a hobby store in northern Indiana. Kit number is 871 on this. And then the parts that you'll need to complete the model, and then your painting guide information for the model. Now this does have two different variants. It does have a U.S. Army version that would be from World War II, but it also has a Navy version, which is post-war. From about the 1950s, I believe. We'll see, though, if it announces it in the instructions. So sliding out the internal cardboard box. Go ahead and slide that back up there out of the way. Start with the instructions here. So for this instructions, they start off with the sprue layout, so you know what sprues are what and what part numbers are. And then going in, start with the cockpit and the interior. Pretty basic, just 3 bulkheads and the cockpit detail. The actual jump seats are actually molded in. And then I'll go ahead and take this additional sheet out to keep the fold. And then going through, putting the interior in, putting the two fuselage halves together, and then putting the lower wing assembly underneath. Then at that point, we'll be putting the two wings together, putting the wings on, landing gear, and then your engine detail, which is most likely going to be extremely crude. However, with some wiring detail, you could really spruce that up. And then all of the fiddly little bits on the outside. Just pause there so you can take a look at that. Now it does actually have a few different options. So you have the USAF, which would have had a shorter air intake on the top. You have one for the US Navy and RAF, which had a longer air intake on the top. And then you had an optional, just short little air intake as well. The back has painting information, weathering hints. Obviously, at some point, there's been a little bit of something that's just stained this sheet from the back side here. So we'll lay that off to the side. Take a look at our variants here. So we have a U.S. Navy version, which is an R4D U.S. Navy post-war. We also have a U.S. Army Air Force C-47 from early of World War II. This would have been probably early 43, as it has just the circle with no bars. And that one has the note art of Swamp Rat. Backside of that has an additional third option, which is for the RAF. Obviously giving you the information on paint colors to use, as well as applying decals. Taking a look at the decals, they are in decent shape. I will probably spray a layer of decal film from Microscale Industries over this before trying to use these decals. I do want to try to use them because of the shark mouth with the cigar. That's actually what I got the kit for. I love that option. The only thing that does kind of stink with it is the ink that they used, or the way that they did the shading of that marking option. It is kind of dotted. So you have the brown color, and then to darken it, it's almost like a checkerboard pattern of black lines to just kind of darken it to the eye. I can't really see it on the video here, but it's really pronounced to the eye. Nice thing is, though, all of the the U.S. Navy Air Force markings there are, for the most part, in register. That one looks a little bit out, but for the most part, they're in register. And then you can see down here for Swamp Rat. And then getting into the kit, I will leave it in the actual plastic bag, just to save any loose parts from going flying. It does have raised detail, so we'll want to, actually, taking a second glance at this in the light, this is all actually recessed detail. So I apologize, this is actually recessed panel lines, so that's kind of nice. This one is still had a few reboxings by Italerei. Pretty basic when it comes to the wheels. You could probably get some decent aftermarket wheels for it to really kind of spruce it up. Engines are, like I said, pretty basic, but with a little scratch building ingenuity, with wires and things like that. Really bring it to life. Also, the clear parts are in really pretty good shape. They're all pretty flat. These do have a little weeble in them when you kind of look through them, but the actual front windows are in really nice shape and don't have any of the kind of weeble wobble. So, and then the last item here that is in the box is the obligatory, advertisement that Testors tossed into their boxes for other kits of the day. So, again, this has been a 1979 release of the Douglas C-47 R4C R4D and DC3 Skytrains.